Hi, I'm Charlene Laney, co-founder of Newmaker Financial and certified financial planner. Today, we are in the second part of our series that we're recording with a licensed financial therapist. Her name is Wendy Wright, and she's here with us today to talk about a couple of really important questions when it comes to financial therapy, starting with Wendy, if you would, please tell us, why should we seek out financial therapy instead of just regular, typical old therapy?
Such a great question. Thanks for having me here talking about this, because I love to share the word that financial therapy exists.
Yes.
Financial therapy, I have a lot of clients actually who come from or recommended to me from their therapists that maybe they're working on some different issues. And financial therapy is going to be something where we talk about money every session. And that right there, some people may have just turned this off and said, well, forget that. I'm never going to go see someone and talk about money every week. But it really is very different, because we are just, I think of it as we're walking in the money door every time. And that is both anxiety producing and anxiety relieving at the same time. And not every therapist is comfortable talking about money, just like not every therapist is comfortable working with trauma or eating disorders or sex, couples. A lot of people just don't want to work in those. Not everybody wants to work in the financial therapy realm. So some clients may have gone through working with therapists on other things. And that, for example, is really helpful, because then we can pull those skills. So maybe they've really learned that journaling is really helpful for them in regulating their mood. Then we're going to pull that in, and I'm going to give them examples and homework assignments to journal or to, whatever else may be going on. Financial therapy is really specialized because we do talk about money. It is also, it's very specialized, I guess is the word, in that we don't give money advice. We don't sell products.
Right.
We don't give advice. So what we may say is, because usually my clients have a bucket full of advice they haven't been able to follow. And you may have experienced that in your office with clients where they're just like, yeah, that sounds good. And then they never do it. So we come in, financial therapy comes in, and it's like, okay, well, let's talk about what got in the way. So it's not so much that they need some new ideas. They just need to figure out, how do I get myself to do that? And financial therapy is a way of coming into the emotions around the money and really begin to see changes there.
I love that. And one of my key takeaways from what you said just now is learning how to take the advice that we already know to be good for us, and how do we actually implement those things, knowing that there are so many emotional or mental blocks that may be in the way. There may be some patterned blocks to our behavior day to day that get in the way, and really leaning in and understanding those things to create change that is possible and sustainable for the long term, so that we don't fall back into the broken promises cycle that we were talking about in our last video. I love that. And so for those of us who might know someone that would benefit from financial therapy, and I recognize there's a lot of those people, but what is the best way to bring up financial therapy as an option for them?
Yeah, it's such a great question, because underneath this is the question of, how do you tell someone that they need help? So, it's delicate. It's something you want to be really careful with. So in my experience, a couple of things. One is, speak for yourself. So let's say you're listening today, and hopefully I say something that you're just like, oh, life-changing, the clouds have parted, and now I know I can be different in my relationship with money. Even sometimes just that first recognition that, oh, my emotions are really playing a role here. That in and of itself sometimes is game-changing for people. So then they're more aware. So then you can share with someone who you think also may benefit. I heard this it helped me in this way. And this is a thing called financial therapy. Now, sometimes I'm going to say 99% of the time at this point, when I tell someone I'm a financial therapist, they go, "Oh, what's that?" So you
Yeah.
can even, that's a great way of saying, I just heard Charlene talking about financial therapy. Did you know this was a thing? So that's a really great way, because you're just speaking from your own experience. That's usually one of the best ways. Another way is to see if you see someone struggling with money. So maybe you see them struggling, like we talked a little bit before about maybe repeating patterns, and you see this happening, or you see that they're saying, I just can't talk to my spouse about money. We're not able to talk about it, or whatever. Then
Sure.
you can ask them, would you like that to change? So instead of telling them you'd like it to, oh, I know how you can change that, because
Right.
raise your hand. Don't really raise your hand if you've already tried that route. It doesn't work. So, but if you're like, okay, well, would you like that to change? And they're like, yeah, I really wish it would, but I don't know how. You could say, I've heard of this thing called financial therapy, where a therapist talks to you about your money and your emotions, and maybe helps. I do a lot of helping in my couples sessions with communication and how to communicate about money differently. And so those are a couple of really helpful ways, because you're really wanting to envision yourself coming alongside someone versus telling them what to do.
Right.
That typically makes it go better, and you're just sharing your experience. Now, in financial services, like Charlene, I imagine you sit with couples and you see them struggle, or you sit with individuals, or you see how they really struggle with that. And you may wonder, how would I bring that up as a professional? Things like that too. And I think some of the same questions can be, or you have just like we're doing, like, this is fantastic. You're introducing your clients to what financial therapy can look like and feel like. And just being this, like, imagine being able to sit down with someone and not be judged for anything that you say. In fact, one of the things that I say is, the weirder your thought, the better, because that's when we get to tell where you're judging yourself.
Right.
So hopefully, what do you think about that? That should help maybe start that conversation.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that one of the first things you said, with starting with an I statement rather than a you statement, because we've all had those moments of some unsolicited advice before, where someone is coming at you and trying to solve your problem for you when you were not asking for that advice whatsoever. You
Right.
immediately shut off. You're not open to any suggestions from them at that point. And so I love the idea of starting with I statements and sharing something that maybe you learned either about financial therapy or about yourself, just by introducing yourself to financial therapy. But also just, would you like this to change, or what are you doing to change this, to keep it open and to put it on them. And if financial therapy comes up, then it comes up. But I think that this is just such a great and frankly really new solution that's available to folks when it comes to dealing with their own trauma around money. Which I recognize something that people just generally don't like to talk about for whatever reasons with the way that they grew up. So I'm so pleased you're able to join us here again, Wendy. Thank you so much for your valuable
My
insights.
pleasure.
For those of you who are watching, thank you for tuning in. If you have not yet, please like, share, and subscribe. We will have more insights from Wendy for you next week.